It was an endless sea of sand and dust. In the distance, the horizon shimmered like a mirage, mocking any hopes of water or relief. In this unforgiving terrain, three men trudged forward, their bodies bearing the harsh realities of their ordeal. Days had turned into weeks, and their faces were etched with grime, their clothes tattered, their eyes hollow with fatigue. They had set out on a fool's errand, chasing a dream that turned into a nightmare. Leading the pack was Carl, a burly man with shoulders like boulders. Next to him walked David, wiry and stoic, and bringing up the rear was James, young and weary. Their steps were slow, punctuated by heavy sighs and the occasional cough that echoed their desperation. The silence between them was filled with unspoken resentments and regrets. It all began with Carl, a notorious smuggler. He thrived on the dangerous routes along the Arizona-Mexico border. There, the rugged terrain and the intense heat made it a perfect spot for illegal activities. Carl operated like a phantom, his network of informants providing him with the information he needed to move his cargo under the noses of the authorities. His reputation grew like wildfire, attracting partners who were willing to risk it all. David, a veteran smuggler himself, brought with him a wealth of knowledge and experience. And James, desperate to escape his mundane life, offered his services with youthful zeal. But the journey into the heart of the desert had not been an easy one. The merciless sun beat down on them, turning the world into a furnace. Their water supply dwindled, forcing them to ration every drop. The vastness of the desert around them pressed in, a silent witness to their struggle for survival. Just when their spirits threatened to break, they stumbled upon a dried-up riverbed. Hope surged through them. Could this be their salvation? With renewed determination, they pressed on, their steps lighter, their gazes fixed on the riverbed ahead. But the riverbed was a cruel illusion. It offered no water, just a parched expanse of cracked earth and the mocking memory of flowing waters. Each man grappled with despair in his own way. Carl, hardened by years of a life on the edge, retreated into a shell of tough indifference. David, pragmatic and resolute, focused on survival, cutting firewood and tending to their makeshift shelter. Young James, on the other hand, questioned everything, his doubts and fears echoing in the vast emptiness of the desert. But amidst their individual struggles, an unsettling discovery awaited them. Their provisions, carefully stashed away, had vanished, leaving them with nothing but the clothes on their backs and the unforgiving desert. Panic tightened its grip, forcing them to confront not only the harsh reality of their situation, but also the betrayal that had dealt them this blow. Days bled into one another, blurring into a monotonous cycle of thirst, hunger, and despair. Their bodies weakened, their minds raced with memories of water and food. Yet they pressed on, bound together by necessity and a shared will to survive. Along their journey, they encountered signs of other travelers who had dared to venture into these desolate lands. Remnants of their journeys scattered like breadcrumbs across the desert floor. Water bottles, half-empty cans, and worn pieces of clothing hinted at past struggles and served as reminders of their own dwindling resources. One such discovery shook them to their core. They found the skeleton of a lone traveler, bleached by the sun and picked clean by scavengers. It was a grim testament to the desert's unforgiving nature, a silent warning that their fate might be the same unless they could find a way out. Their paths led them to an abandoned mine shaft, its entrance gaping like a hungry maw in the side of a weathered rock face. Carl, ever the pragmatist, saw an opportunity for shelter. David, with his practical nature, began exploring the surrounding area, hoping to find some sign of life or sustenance. Meanwhile, James, unable to shake off his mounting fear, hesitated at the entrance, the darkness within mocking his dwindling hope. Carl returned from the mine shaft, his face etched with grim determination. He had found water not enough, but just enough to sustain them, a trickle seeping from a crack in the rocks. It was a small reprieve from their ordeal, but it did little to ease their growing desperation. As the days wore on, the trickle of water became a lifeline, sustaining them physically but doing little to nourish their battered spirits. Carl's gruff exterior started to crack, revealing the haunted look of a man wrestling with the harsh realities of their situation. David, with his usual quiet strength, shouldered the burden of their survival, taking on the role of leader and protector. James, though still fearful, found a purpose in documenting their journey with the diary he had salvaged from the supplies. Writing became his solace, a way to pour out his fears and to record their journey for whoever might find it. But their haven was not to last. The desert, it seemed, had its own plans for them. A sudden sandstorm descended upon them, a raging tempest that threatened to bury them alive in swirling sand. Fighting against the wind, they struggled to maintain their footing. Blinded and gasping for breath, they huddled together for support, their bodies shielding each other from the worst of the storm's fury. When the storm finally abated, the world was transformed. The landscape, once familiar, was now a shifting maze of sand dunes. Their shelter, their lifeline of water, all seemed lost to the storm's relentless assault. In the aftermath, they found themselves in a desolate wasteland, struggling to make sense of their disoriented surroundings. Hope, once a flickering flame, threatened to extinguish entirely. The diary slipped from James's grasp, its pages fluttering away in the wind like lost dreams. Despair threatened to engulf them, but in that moment of utter hopelessness, something unexpected happened. James, his voice hoarse but firm, stood up. His gaze, though filled with fear, held a newfound resolve. In a voice that echoed with conviction, he declared, "We're not giving up. We're going to keep going. We have to." His words, born out of desperation and fueled by a refusal to surrender, hung in the air, a challenge to the unforgiving desert. Carl and David exchanged glances, understanding dawning in their eyes. They had forgotten what it meant to hope, to believe that beyond the endless dunes lay the promise of survival. With renewed determination, they set off across the shifting sands, guided by James's unwavering spirit. Together they faced the relentless heat, the gnawing hunger, and the constant thirst, their steps lighter, their gazes fixed on an uncertain horizon. They walked until the setting sun painted the sky in hues of orange and purple, each step a testament to their resilience. And as the stars emerged, casting their cold light on the desert floor, they knew they had to keep going. For somewhere out there, beyond the horizon, hope flickered like a candle in the wind, beckoning them forward. Their ordeal in the desert had stripped them bare, exposing their vulnerabilities and testing their limits. But it had also revealed the depths of their endurance, their unyielding will to live. Now, battered but unbroken, they walked on, their shadows stretching long in the twilight, their footsteps drumming a rhythm of survival on the ancient sand.